You ever have a moment so raw, so wrong, so absurd you think, no way did I just see that, right? That's what happened that day in the clinic parking lot. Just because of a woman's curly hair, a faded military jacket, and her black skin, she was stopped cold, forced to kneel in the street, as if her whole life was just a box to check, an ID to doubt, a threat by default. The cop didn't blink, drew his weapon, pressed it right against her, and pulled the trigger, blood soaking the flag on her sleeve. Target neutralized, he muttered, like he was ticking off a chore. Yeah, that happened. But he didn't know it just fired on an Omega-level operative, a woman whose signal hit satellites the second he pulled the trigger, setting off a chain that would shake the ground under all their boots. So let me back up. SSC Sergeant Elijah Stone stepped out of that VA clinic with his daughter, hand in hand, his uniform pressed sharp, his boots mirror bright, the flag patch on his sleeve faded but proud. His little girl tried to keep up, clutching a beat-up plush bear, her juice box swinging. The afternoon was one of those clear blue, no-shade days, heat rippling off the pavement, and as they headed for their car, a patrol cruiser screeched in, cutting them off. Two white officers jumped out, one with mirrored shades that seemed to throw sunlight like a weapon, the other already palming a sidearm. Stop right there, like they'd caught a criminal, not a father with his child. Elijah paused, shielded his daughter behind him. Voice calm. Is there a problem, officer? The one in shades cocked his head, real slow. What branch you say you're in? Army. Sergeant first class. Active duty. Not buying it. Uniform looks staged. Patches are too clean. Where'd you get it? The other officer bristled. From the United States government. I just had an appointment in the clinic. Ask at the desk. But the sunglasses guy closed in. You'll verify it another way. Kneel. Hands on your head. Elijah stood tall. I'm holding my child. I'm not kneeling in a parking lot with her. That's not a request. You're impersonating a federal officer. That's a felony. Kneel, or we make you. His daughter clung tight, fear playing on her face. Daddy, what's happening? She whispered, and Elijah just squeezed her hand, voice steady. I have identification. Inside my left breast pocket. You're refusing to comply. That's resisting. I'm refusing to kneel while holding my daughter. Put the kid down, then. She's 6. She's scared. I'm not a threat. You don't get to define that, the cop snapped. Then her small voice, barely a whisper, my grandpa was a soldier too. She fished out a battered old badge, holding it up with trembling fingers. He said only real soldiers could carry this. The cop sneered, a toy badge? Is it your alibi? His partner jabbed a finger at Elijah's flag patch. That's sacred. You're disrespecting it. Elijah didn't blink. You're lecturing a combat vet in front of his kid. We said kneel. You haven't knelt. That's noncompliance. You think that uniform's going to save you. From the edge of the lot, a bystander middle-aged, white, phone up, recording shouted, Are you serious? You got a kid. You're harassing a uniformed vet outside a federal building. Back off, the officer barked, stepping to block the shot. This doesn't concern you. He's a soldier. You don't get to make him kneel in front of his child like a criminal. Back off. The cop moved closer, but Elijah never raised a hand, stood solid as a wall between his child and their authority. But the cops made sure the camera only caught asphalt now, their bodies blocking the view. This is your version of transparency? The bystander shouted. You hiding something? Leave the area, came the warning. Elijah exhaled slow. You're escalating a non-threat because of what? My skin, my presence, this uniform? Not your call, the officer said. Kneel. No, then you're resisting arrest. I'm not under arrest yet. His daughter clung tighter, voice cracking. Daddy, please don't let go. I won't, he promised, eyes never leaving the officers. The air was thick silence, humming like a wire about to snap. They didn't move, but everything about their posture said dominate, remind, strip. Behind them, the camera pointed to nowhere. No one yelled, no shots yet, but something important had already broken. Then a command, voice grating, you don't have to understand, just obey. Elijah stood firm. I won't kneel while holding my child. The cop's smirk curled from disdain. Drop the kid, or I drop you. She adjusted her grip, said nothing. The shot crack had no warning, just execution. Her body jerked, bullet low under the ribs. She didn't scream, just collapsed, arms wrapping tighter around her girl, protecting her until the last. The little girl pressed her face in her mother's chest, smeared blood across her cheek. She fumbled for her pink phone, tapped a number. "Uncle D," she said, "they shot Mommy." The officers were quiet. One called it in, target neutralized. A woman across the lot started filming, breathless. "Oh my God." Backup arrived too late for anything but cleanup. The cop who fired checked his weapon, eyes blank. His partner hovered, as if afraid the body would rise. But the silence was total, not respect shock, the kind that hollows a place out. The child, juice box crushed in her elbow, didn't cry, just stared at the red spreading across her mom's uniform. The world tilted. But here's the thing, the story didn't die in that lot. No sirens, no apology, just protocol, blood, a story about to be rewritten. What the officers didn't know was that shot detonated something bigger than any of them. Within 60 seconds, 3 separate alerts pinged Central Command at Fort Bragg. Civilian casualty, unauthorized engagement, Omega protocol triggered. Within a minute, Fort Bragg went to Alpha Alert. That's not a drill. It's a system designed for the worst. Satellite signals rerouted, police comms jammed, city cameras blinked out. In the chaos, an unmarked military vehicle rolled up. A soldier in tactical gear stepped out, scooped the girl into his arms, and left without a word. The cop tried to protest, was shut down with a look that didn't need translation. Silence as absolute as command. Online, video of the shooting went viral. No filter, no spin. Just the image of a woman in uniform, bleeding out, arms still wrapped around her daughter. Her badge, the patch, the flag, all proof, all truth, all seen by millions who didn't need a headline to tell them what just happened. Veterans recognized the insignia Omega, the kind of clearance you don't talk about, don't even joke about. You just pulled the pin on a classified grenade, one whispered at the scene. Only question is who gets hit when it goes off. Protests, hearings, silence from the city, none of it could swallow what happened next. At the Pentagon, a chain of command that never gets named in public declared it a baseline breach, rewrote doctrine on the spot, sent a memo. Any service member targeted by law enforcement under unjustified escalation can defend themselves without waiting for command authorization. They put her uniform, still blood-stained, in a glass case under a plaque that read, "In service betrayed." No name, just the uniform, the system's silent confession. And then Eden. The little girl, now 11, stood before a congressional hearing, her mother's blood-stained badge in her hands. My mom didn't call it a mistake when she carried soldiers through fire, when she bled for her duty. But you call this a mistake. Her voice didn't shake. A mistake is putting salt in your tea, not shooting someone who never moved, never threatened, never even raised her voice. That's not a mistake. That's a decision. She set the badge down and walked away. The room was silent, convicted. The system couldn't hide anymore. Policy shifted, training, protocols, even the language of honor. Her image, holding the triangle folded flag, spread everywhere. Protect those who protect. Not rage, not revenge, just an oath, a debt the country had to pay, called out by the silence of a child who refused to cry. It was no longer about justice for one. It was about memory, about restoring what was lost when power looked away, when a uniform didn't shield a black woman who had done everything right. And so, I ask, where you live, does honor still mean anything? Or is it just a patch, a promise forgotten when it's inconvenient, a story rewritten to fit who gets to wear the flag and who gets to bleed for it? Because in the end, that's not just a question for Congress or the Pentagon or cops on a beat. That's for all of us. Share what you think. Was justice done? Can it ever be when the system itself is on trial? Let's talk, because silence is just another way to let it happen again.